Wildcats of Kansas State headed to Columbia, Missouri, along with the late kick and Josh Pate, who are going to be there, and the Missouri Tigers. Over under 47.5. Kansas State minus 3.5. The ESPN matchup predictor has got K-State at 68.6, putting Mizzou at 31.4. And I just cannot take my eyes off the 4-point win over Middle Tennessee. But as you know, Middle Tennessee went into Coral Gables last year and broke the U over their knee. So not a bad squad, but I just want to lead off with this as we begin this conversation. If Mizzou goes out and lays an egg, which is highly probable.
Yeah.
How much longer is Elia, whatever his name is, in Columbia?
Boy. I mean, hear me out. I think this is an understandable. Okay, let me just clear the air real quick before I answer your question. Kansas State's winning this game. Kansas State is covering. They're winning by 2 touchdowns plus. Is my take. That's my take on the game. Probably taking the over because their offenses look much better than Missouri's, and that's a pretty low number.
For sure.
To get back to your question, okay, this would be an understandable loss and that's hard to say if you're an athletic director or if you're a super high-level competitor like an SEC head coach should be. But this Kansas State team was fantastic a year ago. They're averaging in the low 40s offensively to start the year. Their defense looks pretty solid. They got a little lazy, I think, against Troy for a few minutes of that game and ran away with it in the end. Mm-hmm. But if you're Missouri, you're talking about hosting Memphis, traveling to Missouri, and then you host LSU. I think if you're Eli and you value this job, you're in it for more than the potential buyout at the end of the tunnel, then this is a very important game because you can't let the losses stack up in the way that they've done. You know, you can't just be another 500 team if you really value this job, and this is where you want to be long term because sure, they should be able to go to Nashville and win. That could be a shootout because Vanderbilt's done a really nice job of getting the ball to Mr. Shepard and him being in the end zone when he catches it. But for Missouri to beat LSU at home, that seems insurmountable to me. Back that up with a trip to Kentucky, and then you host South Carolina. And you see how this could really unravel for Eli. So this win would be absolutely massive for him. I don't see any path that it happens. And I don't think this is one that'll get him on the brim of the hot seat just yet. But again, it's just right there on the edge of it. If they don't find wins in October, early November, through the rest of the schedule.
Yeah, I mean, a win over a top 15 team, right, is going to bode well. A team that competed in the Sugar Bowl, showed up in the Sugar Bowl last year. You get what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
However, if you don't, I think if you lose, I think it's more about how you lose. Right?
Exactly.
If you go out and you fight, okay, it's one thing. If you go out and you lay an egg and Kansas State runs the ball all over you, and that's the thing that concerns me with a school like Kansas State. That's not a team that I want to see on Tennessee's schedule, along with the Utahs of the world and those guys. They are under-recruited but so well coached, and so they play with a chip on the shoulder. They do all the little things right. Not a school that I want to play. If Missouri can find this win, you got to like the trajectory of Mizzou here on out because I think you pointed it out. They're going to host Memphis after this and probably go get a win in Nashville, right? And then you can sit at 4-0. Yeah, then you can sit at 4-0 before you host LSU, and that's just not going to go well. At least, that's my prediction from at this point.
Yeah.
But just through the eyes of Kansas State, just for a minute, we both like Kansas State in this game. We haven't picked the over or the under yet, but you did. You said you picked Kansas State outright. Well, my listening skills are on point today.
All good.
Kansas State loses this game. Kansas State wins this game. What's the – does it affect the trajectory of the program, or is it if they get this win, we did what we're supposed to do, but if they lose – let's talk about that. Yeah, if they lose this game, right, what's the perspective of Kansas State at that point?
Well, that really makes me worry about them because, again, just looking right down the line, they're going to host UCF. And they're going to have to contain John Reese Plumlee just a week after this game.
Yeah.
But then you get into the heart of Big 12 play with Oklahoma State on the road, Texas Tech on the road, and then hosting TCU as your next home game. Not to mention that you've got Texas down the line. Not to mention, who's going to be last year's TCU? Is the Big 12 going to have someone like that you're going to have to contend with? It also very well could be Kansas State. Not that they're going to go make the playoff for the national championship game, but it's going to get a lot tougher. So again, I worry about the makeup of that team. Could they sustain and bounce back from a loss like this against frankly, a team that you should go keep at arm's length? You should just go in there and just flex on them, I think, is what you should do.
Absolutely.
You've got the quarterback advantage. You had Deuce Vaughn, who was about 2 foot tall last year running the football, and you've got a 6'1" guy and a 5'10" bruiser doing it this year, not to mention Will Howard at quarterback, who can run the heck out of the ball.
Yeah.
So I just worry about them and their ability to bounce back through the conference slate as it goes, with a couple of road games coming up after UCF at home, what it would mean for them in that regard. Because I think, and sure, Missouri can use this to their advantage, but everyone that looks at this game and considers the last few years is going to say Kansas State, and they cover by probably a pretty large margin.
Yeah, for sure. If I'm Mizzou, I'll just end this way. If I'm Mizzou, I'm figuring out all kinds of diverse ways to get Luther Burden the ball.
Yeah, you got to do those things because they've got some nice little talent, and it's not going to be enough talent to get you in the top 10 or top 5 certainly of a recruiting ranking. But Luther Burden was from close by. You've got guys in this class. Ryan Wingo is close by that you have to impress enough to make that decision for more than just the NIL dollars in high school, that they can make money now as a commit to the school. You've got to find ways to identify with those guys and show why they should be a Tiger for longer than just the dollars that they can get in high school, not to mention when they're freshmen and, so on. Because to this point, and it's gotten a little better, but it got off to a pretty rough start with Luther Burden. So they can't have that happening if they want to be a serious program right now, or if Drinkwitz, again, really just wants to be in this job long term. They can't keep having those rough starts and having that drama.
Yeah, well, Luther Burden, I mean, threw his name out again, 15 catches on the year, 213 yards, 1 score. I would like to see his touchdown numbers go up if you're looking to win games, right, as a program. Yeah. You're just going to be relying on him a lot. And I don't know that you can be carried by a receiver by that much. Nonetheless, we're both going to take Kansas State to win this game outright. 47.5, though, is the over-under. What are you taking?
I want to push the over here. I feel really risky doing it just because I feel like if either team could muddy this game up, Missouri doing it via, extending drives and slow developing plays that frankly drain the clock and things like that. And Kansas State, I know, is so capable or have been so capable of running the ball, which again would just keep that clock turning. But again, I'm going to take the risk and I'm going to push the over because it's fairly low, 47.5, correct?
Yep.
I mean, that's just get to 24 and then, you're right there halfway. So I think that should be attainable. Even though we didn't see it from Missouri against MTSU and early in their schedule, I'm gonna take my chances with the over there.
Yeah, me too. I'm gonna take the over as well. Looking forward to this one. It is some vintage Big 12 football. Yes. A renewed rivalry, so to speak. Give me more of that. Nonetheless, we're taking the Wildcats to go into Columbia and win this game outright.